Well, welcome to the tasting. We're having a look around at Pinot Noir just a few minutes ago, and now we've got Henry and Richard to taste the Blanc de Noirs. What's that vineyard where these grapes come from, out of interest?
Yes, the block that we looked at, that is what I call the Blanc de Noirs. So actually you can see it up here, this block here.
Okay.
And we quickly realised we've got two Pinot blocks. One over this side, which is, it's got more clay, a bit thicker clay before it hits the chalk. This has sort of a mixture of a metre of clay, flint, gravel, and then the further you go down the road, it gets chalkier and chalkier and chalkier. Now, whether this is a factor in the style of wine it produces, but that combination of that chalk element with a bit of clay, which I think does help to build the texture, all the sort of rounder elements of.
And when was this vineyard planted?
This part of the vineyard was planted in 2010.
Okay.
So we were always going to do a Blanc de Noir. We set out to focus on Pinot. It was a stylistic, our research, as you call it, drinking, understanding the styles of champagne and traditional method fizz. We always like that Pinot dominant character. It was a question of where do we put the Pinot and how do we get the best out of it. And actually, I tasked Tony Jordan. This was the one we probably worked on more than anything.
Right.
Because it is probably, I think, the hardest style to really nail. Because you've got that naturally weighty, muscular, meaty character of Pinot. You've got to sort of tame it and produce this sort of elegant style of sparkling wine.
Without it oxidising.
Without it oxidising. It is more prone to oxidation Pinot than Chardonnay, so it's a bit more delicate. But for whatever reason, this part of the vineyard gave us that sort of style.
So as you said, there's a little bit more clay on top of it.
It's a little bit more clay, which I think helps build
Some
these sort of
fatness of it.
fatness, the textural elements, and the chalk just gives it a bit of finesse, I think, to make sure it's not too heavy. And it was 2018 was a very ripe year, so the danger was you could make something that was a bit heavy and a bit clunky, but it seems to be quite light-footed. And
so this is the 2018.
This is 2018, following on from the 15, which did sort of blaze a trail. I guess really helped us actually, from our point of view, build our reputation. A lot of it was based off that Blanc de Noir did well in competitions and such like. So it sort of set quite a high bar that we've got to work hard to follow. We haven't. This is only the third release of this wine, so it is slightly less consistent. Sometimes you think you've got the Pinot, it just doesn't give you that sort of fragrance. But we've got a 19, 20, 21, 22. So for the next, there's a whole run of them coming up now. I think, which is an indication we know what we're, how to treat it now and get the best out of it.
Richard, you've been enjoying the class. What are you seeing in this?
So I find some of the same accessibility that we found in the Blanc de Noirs 2018.
Right.
But at the same time, there's that extra body that you want from Pinot Noir. There's the body, a bit more going on the palate, and I'm conscious of a different sensation on finish. A bit more, strength is the wrong word, but a bit more persistence, a bit more power. It's just reminding you it's there on the finish. The other aspect to it, which I notice, which I think is really welcome, is in the Blanc de Blanc, I found the fizz so well integrated, I barely noticed it.
Yeah.
Here, I'm a bit more aware of it.
Yeah, no,
But that's a good thing, because it's giving, because otherwise there's a danger it could be too heavy as a Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
It just gives that extra.
Yeah.
It works really well. So.
The one thing I'm seeing in this, which is really attractive, is that red fruit.
Yeah.
So on the palate, you pick it up, those red curranty.
Yeah, with the blackcurrant, it seems to be a theme that runs through the previous release as well. It's this blackcurrant character. It's the length of Pinot, I think, it's that lingering sort of drive. Tony used to call it that Pinot drive that we sort of look at. Yeah,
Exactly.
And what do you do in the winery to?
So this, the actual previous wine to this, we had about a third Meunier. It was actually in that 2015.
Okay.
But because we really wanted to focus on one particular part of the vineyard, this block of Pinot, we cut it to 100% Pinot Noir, which I think, I'm sort of hoping is going to help with its sort of ageability as well.
Yeah.
I do think Pinot has a bit more structure than Meunier, so I think it will help. You know, I have a slight question mark on Meunier's ability as a standalone variety, its aging ability, but we've actually produced the Meunier, so we'll find out ourselves. But yeah, and you know, we've actually built up the oak elements of this one as well. So this is now up near 50%
Okay.
oak fermentation. So you just don't.
Very subtle,
You
isn't it?
just very barely notice it.
Just
The fruit component is so bright.
Yeah. There's a classic, you know, peach kind of Pinot Noir character that I'm really picking up on this, which is like dripping, what do you call them, when they're like that sweet, really sweet peach, which is beautiful.
Yeah. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, it is a different blend to the previous one. Interesting to see what path it sort of goes on. Yeah, I think the elements are there again. Yeah, to keep it moving.
And we're saying something very recently disgorged, it's May.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, a newly released wine. You know, it's, you know, I always prefer these wines, you know, a year after disgorging, and that's my personal preference as far as when I start to drink myself. But when you know a wine so intimately, you follow it throughout its whole life. You know it's in there, if you know what I mean. You know, disgorging, you know, knocks it back a bit, and it just needs a bit of time to.
Richard, what's your favourite time to drink this wine? Because you've had it in the previous vintages.
I suppose one thing I would say is I am quite a big fan of drinking sparkling wine with food.
Right.
I really, if we're serving seafood, or which we don't very often because my wife doesn't eat it, but if there is seafood being served, or there's fish or light fish or something like that, I would really happily serve either of these through into that course as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. It's the most fascinating thing is being able to get in the vineyard, get into the winery, and then come and taste it. So thank you, Henry.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you for coming.
And here's to
Another good harvest.
another good harvest.
Cheers, Jason.
Cheers. Thank you.